Yo, what's good? Griff413 here back in the day, and today, guys, I'm here to talk about all the brand new cars coming to Forza Horizon 5 in the Series 2 update. And I'm going to tell you guys, there are a bunch. It looks like we have got 8 brand new cars for Car Pass holders, and then we've got 12 new cars coming in the Forza Shop or Festival playlist, which is going to be awesome. And 2 of those ones, out of those 12, are brand new to Forza. At least I think so, right? Right? No. One of them is. Only one of them is. Sorry, my dudes. One brand new car coming to Forza in the Festival playlist, so that's a little bit disappointing. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get on into it. And to start things off, we have this, the 2018 Audi TTRS. Honestly, I'm very excited about this because Audi recently underwent a design change, and the fact that they're outing new Audis to the game is very, very good in my opinion, because like you can see right here, this is the brand new R8 and this is the previous R8. They are very, very, very different from each other. And you can also see down below, you have the 2015 TTS, and then you have the 2018 TTRS. Now, these ones are of the same generation. In fact, I believe there actually is a new generation of the Audi TT out. So, it kind of sucks there. But I'm really glad that we are getting some new Audis in the game because they are desperately needed. This has a similar 5-cylinder engine. It's hard to say 5-cylinder engine. You just don't normally say it. But the Audi TTRS has a 5-cylinder engine, which puts out 60 more horsepower than the previous generation for a grand total of 394, which is pretty dang good if I do say so myself. It really and truly is the baby R8. And then moving on down the line, we have got a handful of cars from Ferrari. This is definitely the car pass of Ferrari this time. They are definitely winning this one hands down. Now the first one they have is the Ferrari Monza SP2, a $2.5 million car with a very limited production. The only 2 people that I was actually able to find that own this are Max Verstappen and Gordon Ramsay, of all people. I didn't know Gordon Ramsay was a Ferrari nut, but obviously he has to be in order to even get on the list to be able to buy one of these suckers. It has a very similar design to things like, you know, the old Jags and the old open-top racers of yesteryear, and honestly, I kind of dig it. But this thing is just crazy. It has the same engine from the 812 Superfast, but gets a 10 more additional horsepower. It gets 10 more horsepower, which brings it up to a grand total of 799 horsepower. Then after that, what we have is the 2018 Ferrari FXX-K Evo, a track-only version of the LaFerrari. Now, in previous games, we have had the FXX-K. I do not believe, though, that we've had the Evo variant. Now, it appears that this is car number 70, as we can see from the side profile there. But the thing is about this, it is absolutely crazy. When they built this as the track-only version, they did some finagling with the front end, and they were able to get 75% more downforce than the LaFerrari. And with the Evo variant, it's 198 pounds lighter than the original FXX-K. That is absolutely amazing. Then we move on down the line, and we have the 2017 Ferrari J50. This is basically a Ferrari 488. It's crazy to say the least, but it was specifically designed for the Japanese market. It was to celebrate, you know, them having a nice long history in the Japanese market. And the thing with this, it's a target top version of the 488. That's basically what it is. It is really, really cool in my opinion. It gets 20 more horsepower than the original 488, but they only built 10 of these, which honestly, that's a damn shame. That is a damn shame because this thing looks absolutely freaking cool. I love this car. I really and truly do. We need more Targas. Like, seriously, I love Targa tops. I don't know about you guys, but Targa tops are amazing. They really are. Or, you know, at the very least, get like some hardtop convertibles that have like, you know, those like vents that come down the back end. I don't know why I love those. I just really, really like them. And I think this car, if I'm looking correctly, it has one of those like kind of like back vents. You can see where the black bumps up over the rear seats. Oh my god, I love that on cars, and I wish we saw more of that today. I really, really do. After this, we move on down to Jaguar, where we pick up the 1993 Jaguar XJ220S TWR. Now, if I remember correctly, I do think that this one got leaked a few weeks back. Like, people knew about this car. I don't know where people found this car, but people knew about this car. Now, this has an additional 140 horsepower over the standard XJ220, bringing it to a grand total of 680 horsepower, which for a car in 1993 is really freaking good. They stripped this car down and replaced a bunch of components with carbon fiber. This in total, with the additional horsepower, brings it up to a top speed of 228 miles per hour. The XJ220 was a record, breaking car. That's what this car was built for. It was built to break records. And honestly, I'm glad to see this one in here. It honestly, in my opinion, looks a hell of a lot better than the standard XJ220. Although the XJ220, the original one, has them pop up and down headlights. Pop up and down headlights. Oh god. I had to. I know. It's cringy. It is so cringy. Then we have the 1966 Jaguar XJ13. This thing is honestly has a crazy story. It is really crazy. Only one of these was ever made, and it never even saw a racetrack. Well, it kinda did. They went to go ahead and decide to shoot some promotional photos for it before it had its racing debut. Unfortunately, they crashed it. So they just decided to go ahead and scrap the entire project after it was wrecked, and somebody eventually found it and paid $1,000 for the car and fully restored it. After restoring it, they have maintained ownership of this vehicle since that day, and were even offered in 1996 $7 million for the car, which at the time was more valuable than the Ferrari 250 GTO, which is now worth over $100 million. So just imagine what this thing could be worth today. Honestly, who knows? Then we come to Lamborghini, and honestly, this should be the car that I finish things off with, but we're going to go ahead and talk about it right now since it's the first one in the list, and that is the 2020 Lamborghini Huracan Evo. And honestly, I don't get everybody's fascination with it. I really and truly don't. Everybody wanted a Huracan Evo in this game for some reason, when we have the perfectly good Huracan Performante, which in my opinion is way better than the Evo. And in fact, the stats all say it is better. They have the same engine, the same power, but the Huracan Evo is heavier. So, that's the thing about this car. It gets some different aerodynamics and stuff like that. Honestly, it does look cool. It does look cool. I will give y'all that. But in my opinion, it's just, why do we need this in this game? I would rather have had the resources spent on another car. I guess it could be the fact that since it has the same engine, that they're going to be able to, just be like, oh, well, here's the performance parts for this, and they can really easily throw this car in here willy-nilly, and people are going to be happy about it. But I already can tell that people are probably going to be pissed about it unless they did specifically go out there and do the exhaust note with the Evo and a different exhaust note for the Performante and a different exhaust note for the regular Huracan, because that's the one thing I found when looking up this car, was that basically the Evo has a different sounding exhaust. It's more mechanical than the Performante is. So I'm curious to see how that actually ends up working out. I can already tell though, if it's not that different, people are probably going to be mad, because that's really the main selling point about this. It's got a nicer exhaust note than the Performante does. And our last car is also in Lamborghini, and that is the 1973 Espada 400 GT. I can't remember if this car was in a previous Forza game or not. I almost feel like it. But no, I'm thinking of the Yarma. I'm thinking of the Yarma. That is what I'm thinking of. Unless this was part of the James Bond car pack. I gotta check this out. Okay, so after some research really quickly, it didn't take me long to find out that yes, this is a brand new car to the game. I'm just kind of confusing this a little bit with the James Bond car pack and with the Lamborghini Yarma, since we don't have the Yarma in this game either. I just couldn't remember if we somehow got the Espada in Horizon 4. But anyway, about this car, it's a 4-seater Lamborghini designed by Bertone. So we don't really have, I kind of wish we had those old Bertone cars that we had back in the Xbox 360 motorsport games. Those were really freaking cool. But this thing is pretty damn awesome. Now, this one being a 1973 is going to be the Series 3 model. Now, this is the most desirable variant by collectors, but they're really not. Considering the fact it's a classic Lamborghini, it doesn't really go for that much. I was honestly looking at some auction results and they were like 180,000, which is kind of interesting. So it's really not too terribly expensive, although for 180K I think you can get a decently used Huracan almost, maybe. But I think I would rather have that over an Espada. It's definitely a cool car, but it's really not a looker. It's really not a looker, nor does it really have the same kind of performance that you could get out of a new one. I don't know. It's one of those classics that I'm not a big fan of. You know, I'm looking at it and it's like, why'd they even make this? You know? So now we move on to the additional cars that are going to be available through the festival playlist. And we are mainly seeing a couple of brand new brands back into Horizon 5 from Horizon 4, and a lot of really highly requested cars that are making their comeback. The first one being the Donkervort D8 GTO. This thing is crazy. I've never been a big fan of it, but honestly, every time I look at it, I just think of like Nigel Thornberry. I don't know what it is about these like modern, open wheel cars and like this sort of stuff. They just give me that Nigel Thornberry smashing, kind of opinion. I like it. I like it a lot. This thing is powered by the same 5-cylinder as that Audi TTRS, although this one is a little bit different. And the crazy thing is, though, is that you could take two Donkervorts, stack them on top of each other, and it's still not going to weigh as much as a single Audi TTRS. So you can already tell that the power to weight ratio on this thing is absolutely insane. Another returning car is the Ferrari 599 GTO. Honestly, I'm pretty excited to see this because we do have the XXX Evolution, but, having just a baseline, 599 is pretty nice to say the least. It's just a beautiful car. It really is. Only 599 of these things were ever built. And some of you guys might have caught it just now, but you also have the 2002 Ferrari 575 Maranello. Built in partnership with Pininfarina, this is the first road-going V12 with a Formula 1 gearbox. So that is a nice fun fact for you. Honestly, when I look at this thing, that hood scoop on it throws me off, but it is a front-engined Ferrari. It's one of the few front-engined Ferraris out there. Although, what am I saying? There's a ton of front-engine Ferraris. I can think of like 10 off the top of my head. But, of course, this is a Maranello edition. It's got that M on the end of it. So you already know this thing is going to be a beast over the standard 575. And then we're back to Jaguar again with the XKR-s GT, which is just a track-going version of the XFRS. So we kind of already had it in the game a little bit, or sorry, not the XFRS, the XKRS. So you come down there, you basically have it right there. We could have built this car. Someone could have built a livery for it, thrown the Forza arrow and all that stuff, and essentially made this car into the game. It's a nice addition to have it available here, but let's be honest, we could have built this ourselves. We really and truly could have. Yeah, I don't know what else to really say about this car. Only 30 of them were ever made, apparently. That's kind of a fun fact for you. Now, some of you guys might have saw it when I was talking about the Huracan Evo, but we have the 2018 Lamborghini Aventador SVJ. This is going to be available to every single person in the game through Festival Playlist. So this is the only new car that we're getting in Festival Playlist that hasn't been in a Forza game previously. It's essentially the Performante of the Aventador, in my opinion. This thing is absolutely crazy. It gets 80 more horsepower than the SV, to 769 horsepower now, which is pretty awesome. They lightened it with a bunch of carbon fiber and, stiffened things up with some titanium, and this actually ended up reducing the weight by 600 pounds. This thing is absolutely crazy. I cannot wait to get my hands on it. It looks amazing. It really does. I mean, you can even tell like the differences between that and the SV down on the lower screen there, and I mean, it looks good. It really and truly does. And then we had the Lamborghini Gallardo LP570-4 Spider. We already had the Lamborghini Gallardo LP570-4 Superleggera, so this is just the Spider variant of that same car. So that is pretty awesome here, and this thing first appeared in Forza Horizon. We actually did get it back in Horizon 4, which is pretty nice. I'm surprised that we're getting this as a separate car, because in my honest opinion, when they were talking about, oh, certain cars are going to be able to drop the top, this was one of the few that I thought we were going to be able to drop the top over the regular Lamborghini Gallardo, or it'd be like some kind of upgrade option, like, oh, you want to have a convertible version? Well, you need to have two Lamborghini Gallardos, both a hardtop and a convertible, but it's basically just an upgraded variant. Like, you could just go in there into like the I don't know what that space is called, but yeah, the body kit section, and just change it. Like, honestly, that's what I thought. I thought that would have been a good idea, but apparently Forza decided not. Then we move on over to Maserati, where we can pick up the Maserati 8CTF, which was built to originally beat the Auto Union. That was kind of a fun fact. And it did end up getting some wins at Indianapolis and at Pikes Peak, so obviously was able to do its job. I hate this configuration, though. I hate these cars because those open-wheel classic cars, they are a bitch to drive. That's all I can say. They suck. They suck so badly. I know some people like them. I never could get the hang of them. Never could get the hang of them. And then we have a returning brand again, another one that a lot of people are going to be very happy about, and that is Peel. And our first car is the 1965 Peel Trident. Very similar to the Peel P50. This thing is just larger, has that nice bubble roof to it. Very Jetsons-esque, if I may say so. Like, I honestly feel like if you got rid of the wheels, this looks like something out of the Jetsons, or, I could see this being like a car found in like the Fallout universe somehow. Like, oh, I'm trying to save the environment, so I have my nuclear-powered bubble car. Like, it's what it looks like. It really is. And then we have the 1950 Peel P50, or not 1950, the 1962 Peel P50. This thing is adorable. Let's be honest. It is adorable. Only 50 of these were ever built, and only 27 are known to still exist. There's no reverse in this thing. So imagine though you accidentally drive into a wall. Well, you can't get out of the car. Well, I guess you can. This one doesn't have that same issue that the Isetta does, where it opens from the front. It does appear to actually have a side opening door, which is very helpful. But if you want to reverse it, there's a handle on the back, so you can maneuver it like how do you put this, like a suitcase, or a wheelbarrow or something like that, and get it going straight again. It's an adorable little car. It really, really is. Then we move on to Toyota, and let's be honest, these first two cars everyone knows probably a little bit too well. The only Toyotas that were at launch in Motorsport, or Horizon 3, that is, not Motorsport 3, Horizon 3. And honestly, these things are really, really fun to drive. They really are. These things are basically built to be able to conquer the Arctic. They have been to both poles, and I'm talking about both the Land Cruiser and the Hilux here. They're insane. They are absolutely insane. Now, you don't have to necessarily be a scientist to order one of these if you got enough money. Although, let's be honest, why would you buy one of these if you even had enough money? Because you could buy a Hilux or a Land Cruiser and do so much more to it. These things are built to handle the Arctic. They are so overbuilt, it is crazy. They don't really have any other use besides going to the Arctic. So unless you're planning to become an Arctic explorer for fun on the weekends, you probably don't need one of these. You probably don't. But the one good thing is it kept Toyota alive in Horizon 3. So we'll be happy with them. We will be very, very happy. And then we have a car that we haven't seen since Forza Motorsport 6, and that is the Toyota Celica SSI. Now, the one thing I hate about this one, I honestly like how it looks, and there's a really cool build that someone did, not of this, but of a Supra, of a 98 like Supra RZ, And what they did is they actually took the front end off of a Celica and they put it on the Supra, and God, it looks so good. It really, really looks good, and I hate that I like it that much. But the thing that I hate about this car in particular is they never made a GT4 version. So the only way that you could get this was in front-wheel drive. And that is a damn shame. Why did they do this? Why? Like, seriously, this car could have been so good, but now it's destined to be a high schooler's first car. That's all that these things are good for nowadays. Is you see these in high school parking lots, and that's about it. I don't even see many of these on the road anymore. Did they all like break? Is there like some kind of critical issue with these? I don't know. I guess I'll have to ask Scotty Kilmer. Maybe he'll be able to tell me what is wrong with the Toyota Celica. We also got another addition from Vauxhall. We got the Lotus Carrolton back in the game. Now, at one point in time, this was considered to be the fastest sedan in the world. It actually had a top speed of 180 miles an hour, which is still, by today's standards, no slouch, at only 377 horsepower. Like, you can get so many other cars with so much more horsepower. I mean, hell, my truck has 350 horsepower, but, I mean, it doesn't go anywhere near 180 miles an hour because it's a truck. But, I mean, you can buy like a stock WRX, and that thing's going to have pretty close to 350 today. And, like, this is considered to be the fastest sedan in the world at its time. Like, that's insane to me. That's insane. It's not really a good looker. It's not really a good looker, but hey, honestly, it did its job, and it did its job well. Lotus is still around today, and they're fairly well known. I actually went to a car dealership last weekend and saw a bunch of Lotuses, so that was kind of fun. Then finally, we have the 2016 Zenvo TS1. This thing is crazy redonkulous. It has a value of 1.5 million. And is the little child of the TSRS, which is an absolute beast. Or I should say father. I should say father, since, this is actually newer and all that sort of stuff, and it gets all of its heritage from this, so I guess it would be the father of it, or the predecessor. That makes more sense, just saying predecessor. But some of you guys might notice something. It says TS1, not ST1. In Horizon 4, it was the ST1. In Horizon 5, it's the TS1. Zenvo did one of those weird things like Gumpert did and did a name change. So, Gumpert, you guys may know, we actually have Gumpert in this game. It's just a new name. It's called Apollo. And we have the Apollo IE. But what they did is there used to be something called the Gumpert Apollo. And that car was crazy. It was absolutely insane. It was kind of bonkers, but it was honestly a lot of fun. But the thing is, though, is they actually renamed their own selves to the Apollo brand. Like, they named their brand after one of their cars, and then changed the name of the exact same car to the Apollo, I think it was the 1. So, I don't know what they did that for, but it looks like Zenvo kind of did the same thing here. They're like, oh, well, let's name this the TS1 since our new car is called the TSRS. So we're going to make things just a little bit different here and confuse the shit out of everybody. The crazy thing about this car is that it took over 8,000 hours to build each and every single one of these. That's 333 days. And for 1.5 million with that much hours in it, I mean, overall, that's really not that bad of a deal. I mean, 1.5 million for, 333 days is still a lot, but it's not crazy. Like, the guy who built these by hand honestly wasn't making all that much. In fact, I can actually do the math here. We're going to do this really quickly. Divided by 8,000 hours, that's $190 an hour, basically. That's a lot of money, but it's not really that much. Like, I know people who make more than that. That's insane. That is insane. So anyway, though, that's where we're going to wrap things up for today. If you guys want to, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at twitter.com/Square413 and Instagram.com/Square413. And if you guys like this video, go make sure to hit that like button down below for us, because you already know your support is so greatly appreciated. And make sure to subscribe when videos coming out all the time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out. Bye!
Say goodbye.